I buried my 10-year-old daughter alone. My family drank champagne across town. Then Mom messaged, "Stop being dramatic. This is urgent." She meant my dead daughter's $1,250,000 trust fund. But what my husband did next shocked them all. He put every last cent in my name, slamming the door on their greed. My name is Savannah Elms, I'm 34. And if you think you know how this ends, stay tuned. What happens when your child dies, and it reveals who is only pretending to grieve. The service was small.
Closed casket. No lilies, she hated them.
I watched a sparrow land on her headstone as the priest spoke, like even heaven wanted to say goodbye. But the pews behind me were half empty. My parents? At a wine gala 2 zip codes over. My sister? Sent a one-line text. Can't miss this keynote. She would have understood.
Would she?
Would my little girl, who once cried when her hamster died, understand that her own blood couldn't show up? The night before, my brother called. "You still have access to the account, right?" His voice low, slippery. That trust fund was meant to be generational, Savannah. We should all be part of that decision. That trust fund was her legacy. From the wrongful death settlement after her heart surgery went wrong at 8. It wasn't theirs. It was hers.
Or it was.
Now it was mine to protect. The text from Mom came during the burial. "Enough grieving. Call me ASAP. It's about the money." I didn't reply, but someone else did. My husband. He was standing beside me in the cemetery when he made the call. His voice, steady. His words, final. "She's done. And so am I." Then he hung up and took out the papers that would change everything. He didn't flinch. Not when he called the bank. Not when he told them to revoke all co-beneficiaries. Not even when the woman on the line asked, "Are you certain you want to remove her maternal grandparents?" "I'm certain," he said. The air around us was hushed. Grief had stolen the sound from birds, wind, breath. Only his resolve remained. By sunset, the $1.25 million trust fund was locked in. My name. My control. No shared access. No family discussions. Just legal walls around what was left of my daughter's life. I sat on the edge of our bed that night, still in black. He knelt in front of me, held my hands like they were glass. "They treated her death like a footnote," he said. "They don't get to touch her name again." I didn't cry. Not because I didn't want to, but because I'd run out of tears at the gravesite. Instead, I whispered, "Thank you." That's when the retaliation began. The next morning, my sister posted a long thread on social media. Money changes people. Grief makes them cold. Some inherit pain. Others just steal it. No names. But every comment knew. Then came the group email from my mother. Subject: Family unity. Body: We are disappointed in your recent legal decisions. Your daughter was loved by us all, and it's cruel to shut us out of her legacy. Legacy? As if she were a will to be split. I didn't reply, but my lawyer did. A single line: cease and desist. We were done playing gentle. They'd had their chance to show up, at the hospital, at the funeral, in the hollow hours after. Now, they wanted a slice of sorrow. But grief isn't a bank account. And I wasn't withdrawing. I was fortifying. They didn't come to our door. They didn't call again. But they made noise where it could hurt the most. Emails to my husband's firm, anonymous, venomous. Rumors whispered to his clients, hinting at mental instability and unresolved trauma. They even contacted the hospital that handled my daughter's care. Alleged misuse of funds. Tried to stain my grief with corruption. But paper trails don't lie. The trust was clean. The transactions audited. Every penny accounted for: college scholarships for girls with heart defects, pediatric care donations, and yes, enough set aside for us to breathe without financial panic. But that wasn't what they wanted. They didn't want justice. They wanted access. And when that failed, they turned to erasure. My daughter's name began disappearing. From the family group chat archives. From my parents' Facebook photos. Even from the family's shared Google Calendar, the one where her birthday used to be marked with glitter emojis. Deleted. as if mourning made her inconvenient. I broke down in the pantry one night, clutching her old lunchbox, still smelling faintly of strawberries and glue sticks. "She's vanishing," I told my husband through tears. "And I can't stop them." He wrapped me in silence, held me like an oath. Then he did something I wasn't expecting. He launched a foundation. In her name, the Lila Grace Fund, for girls with fragile hearts and stronger spirits. He built the website in a weekend, filled it with photos they couldn't erase, stories they couldn't rewrite, and he made it public. Donations began pouring in, messages from strangers. "She reminds me of my niece. I wish I'd known her. Thank you for not letting her story disappear." They tried to delete her. Instead, we made her eternal. The foundation rattled them. They didn't expect me to turn mourning into motion. Didn't expect Lila's name to go viral. Local news picked it up. A small segment, "Mother turns tragedy into hope." There was a clip of me holding Lila's drawing, the one she made of a heart with butterfly wings. In the background, my mother's voice left me a voicemail. "Savannah, this has gone too far. You're exploiting her memory. This isn't what family does."
No.
What family does is vanish during a funeral. What family does is weaponize a child's bank account. What family does is message about the money before the casket is lowered. I archived the voicemail. The next day, my father filed a formal request through an attorney, a claim that part of the trust belonged to extended custodial family. He even included screenshots of Lila's birthday cards from them. Proof, they said, of consistent emotional involvement. The gall. The performance. Wes, our attorney, now left. They'll be shredded in court, but they want a public fight. That's what it was always about. Control. Narrative. Image. They couldn't stand that Lila's story was out there, without their edit. But I didn't back down. I filed a counterclaim, publicly outlined the emotional negligence, the absence at her surgeries, the documented message timestamps during her burial, even attached the original trust documents, notarized, sealed, undeniable. All funds were mined by Lila's own designation. The backlash was instant. Suddenly, my sister's tweets disappeared. My parents deactivated their accounts. And for once, the silence felt earned. They wanted to erase her. But now every dollar in that trust fund carried her name, not as currency, but as a boundary, one they'll never cross again. You said. But silence from them didn't mean peace for me. Grief has a strange way of resurfacing, not in sobs, but in the smallest echoes. Lila's toothbrush still sat in the cup by the sink. Her rain boots, untouched, still waited by the back door. And her laughter, memory's cruelest gift, played in loops when the house got too quiet.
I was doing interviews now. Podcasts.
A few panels on medical trust management and parental advocacy. Every time I said her name, it felt like lighting a candle, not mourning remembrance. And then came the letter, a plain envelope, no return address. Inside, a single photograph. Lila, at age 5, sitting on my sister's lap, smiling, but clearly in pain. Her fore visible, her cheeks hollowed. On the back, scribbled in ink. "You're not the only one who loved her. Stop acting like it." I didn't show it to my husband. I didn't cry. Instead, I scanned it, filed it, and logged the postmark. Because when people try to guilt you after abandoning you, it's not about grief. It's about guilt. And guilt has fingerprints. I called Wes. He traced the postmark to a private P.O. box in upstate New York. My brother. He hadn't spoken to me once since the funeral. But now he wanted to remind me that he loved her? Where was that love when she asked for him at the hospital? When she begged to see Uncle Charlie before surgery? Nowhere. Because love isn't memory hoarding. Love is showing up. We filed a report, not criminal. Just documented. Every move they made I logged. Every word I kept. Not for revenge. But because the people who didn't honor her life had no right to narrate her death. Not anymore. My brother's photo wasn't a warning. It was bait. An invitation back into a family script I'd already shredded. But I didn't take it. I filed it away and poured my energy where it mattered, Lila's legacy. By December, the foundation had funded 3 surgeries. We received handwritten letters from mothers I'd never met, holding children who now had a shot because Lila didn't. Her absence had become action. Her silence a spark. Still, the whispers from my family circled like vultures over a wound they couldn't pick open. One day, my cousin messaged me on LinkedIn of all places. They're planning something. Your parents. Some kind of memorial event. Without you. A public show. A reinvention of grief. No doubt they'd wrap it in charity and trimmed hedges. Hire a violinist. Print brochures. Stage love in crisp black outfits. But they never called me. Never asked. Never once used her real voice, or the drawings she made, or the way she liked her macaroni plain with no pepper. Just branding. I didn't confront them. Instead, I contacted the venue. I sent documentation. Legal proof that I held all rights to Lila's likeness, foundation name, and trust identity. I made it clear. If they used her name without my permission, they'd be facing more than a cease and desist. They canceled the event 2 days later. I found out through a brief line on my mother's Instagram story. Event postponed due to unforeseen obstacles. Some people can't let go. She was right about one thing. I couldn't let go. Not of my daughter. Not of the truth. Not of the fire it lit inside me. To guard what mattered. To protect what they tried to purchase with guilt. To prove that love doesn't expire when breath does. It rises. And burns. And remembers. January brought something I wasn't ready for. An envelope with my daughter's handwriting. Not a memory. Not something I'd saved. It had been mailed recently. Inside was a folded piece of notebook paper. A drawing. Crayon hearts. Her name scrawled at the top. For Mommy. And in the corner a note I'd never seen before. Keep this safe. If anything happens, it's for you. I sat on the floor, the paper trembling in my hands. Then I saw the back, written in adult handwriting. She made this the day of her last surgery. No signature. No return address. I called Wes. I need handwriting analysis, I said. And I need to know where this came from. He moved fast. The handwriting matched a nurse, one who had worked the cardiac unit. She'd been fired shortly after Lila's final surgery.
Why?
Unclear. But we tracked her down. She was living quietly in Maine. When we spoke, she said, "I'm so sorry. I wanted to come forward earlier. But your family, they were always around. They warned the staff not to talk. Warned. They said you were litigious. That you'd sue anyone who interfered with your grieving." My hands went cold. They had painted me as the threat. Even in the hospital. She mailed the drawing because she thought I deserved to know the truth. And she had more. Copies of visitor logs. Records of who came in and out during Lila's final hours. Notes that had been removed from the hospital's official files, but she'd saved them. One name repeated in them. My mother's. Lila had asked for me. But my mother had told the nurses I needed rest. That she'd sit with her instead. But I was never told. I wasn't just grieving a death. I was waking up inside a theft. The final nail wasn't a scream. It wasn't a lawsuit. It was a folder, yellow, hand-labeled, passed to me quietly across a coffee shop table. Inside, visitor logs, altered timestamps, medical staff notes written and then revised. A discharge document signed by someone not me. My mother had signed my name.
Twice.
To keep me away. To keep Lila alone. I stared at the nurse who brought it. She didn't say sorry. She didn't need to. Her eyes said everything. We didn't know what she was doing, she whispered. We just believed her.
So had I.
For too long. But now, the truth had texture.
Dates. Ink.
And the weight of silence lifted. I didn't take it to court. I didn't drag my mother's name through the media. Because the real sentence was already served. She would never see me again. No visits. No birthdays. No access to the foundation. No claim to Lila's name. Not even a photo on her mantle. I changed my number, filed a final legal block, built a firewall around the only legacy that mattered. And then, on the anniversary of Lila's death, we held our own memorial. A garden blooming with wildflowers. A bench with her name carved in cedar. Dozens of families showed up. Children she'd never met, but had helped. We didn't release balloons. Lila hated litter. We planted 3 more trees instead.
For breath.
For shelter. For remembrance. And when I knelt beside her plaque, I didn't cry. I smiled. Because this time she wasn't alone. She was everywhere. In the names whispered by grateful parents. In the laughter of healed little hearts. In the roots under my hands, I stood. My husband reached for me. And for the first time since the burial, I exhaled without breaking.